Chapter 9, Phoenix Rising. You waste no time. Just days after your father's disastrous welcome home party, you and George are executing a multi-stage plan for the rollout of your new name, Cameron Vitale. Let's move quicker out there, please. Got places to be and things to do. The first step is your profile in the business magazine, the most prestigious currently in print. The crew works frantically to set up equipment for the photo portion in your living room. Okay, there has to be something in here that you like. George sighs as he wheels yet another rack of designer clothes into your bedroom. You peer at them disconcerningly. I think you might be overthinking the outfit, Cameron. You're the best looking in the room, no matter what you wear. I mean... Well, George, you should see how I look when I'm not wearing anything. George's mouth drops softly open, eyes widening. Only if you'd like that, of course. I might like it a little too much. You laugh, returning your gaze to yourself in the mirror. Either way, the focus isn't on my hotness today. You're familiar with this magazine, yes? Of course, everyone is. Exactly. Getting them to publish my name is the change, is the solidification of my newfound legitimacy. You only get one shot at a first impression. You know, I still remember the first time I heard that phrase. It was the first thing my dear father tried to impress upon me when I came to live with him. Really? Interesting choice. Why is that? When we pulled up to find Dante and Elizabeth waiting for me with menacing scowls, I couldn't even cry. That's how nervous I was. That's when my father grunted that you only get one shot at a first impression, so I'd better pull myself together. Unsurprisingly, that didn't help. That sounds like him. I'm sorry, he probably made the terrifying moment even worse. You shrug and meet your own gaze in the mirror. Clearly, my first impression as Cameron Kincaid didn't go well, but when the world meets Cameron Vitale, I want them to see me for the leader I am. Classy, strong-willed, unpretentious, capable. George rakes through the rack as you speak, pausing at a leisure suit that somehow is casual, bold, and sexy all at the same time. What about this? Going public. Knew you. Who dis? You take the outfit from George, running your hands over the fabric. Understated, but elegant, professional, but not trying too hard. It's just what I need to make my debut. Definitely, maybe even hang on to it a little longer. I can think of a few other uses for it. Dressed to the nines, you enter the living room where the crew ushers you in front of the camera for the first photo shoot as Cameron Vitale. The editorial director, buzzing with excitement and probably 6 cups of coffee, rushes forward to shake your hand and rushes just as quickly back to her place behind the camera. Name's Emmy. Lovely to meet. All right, Cameron, give me the new face of the business world. You certainly look like you can handle that. Glance down at your suit, run your hands over the fabric, feeling a renewed confidence. Sure I can. No problem. I'll pose with an air of power, a casual laugh, flirtatious glance. Air of power. You strike a powerful pose, staring piercingly into the camera lens. Oh, that's it. Leader of tomorrow. You take a step forward, lifting your chin, projecting confidence. The camera flashes madly and you suppress a smile. You breeze through the photos and are actually beginning to enjoy yourself when your father lumbers into the room, his expression thoroughly unimpressed. What are you doing here? I can assure you it wasn't my idea. Eyes here. Let's set up the interview portion. Everyone, remember the brand labels have to face the camera. I'm confused. Why is he here exactly? That was particularly brilliant brainchild of mine. Having him for the interview would be so much more compelling. Let's get started. You and your father exchange perfunctory glares. The three of you take your seats in front of the camera and the interview begins. So tell me, Cameron, your upbringing is quite different from your siblings. How do you feel that's influenced your family ties? My upbringing has made me stronger and more adaptable. They don't know the hard knocks that come in with growing up like I did, and those knocks have a lot of learning in them. So you think your childhood has given you sharper business acumen? Absolutely. I know all that working my way up and what the average consumer wants. Because, unlike them, I've been the average consumer. A nice sugar coating. Of course, a lot more would have been learned if I'd had the kid under my wing from the start. Missed out on a lot. You turn to glare at your father, furious. You lower your voice to a whisper. What the hell are you trying to do? Sabotage me? Amy clears her throat. You're still on camera. You plaster a smile back on over your face and wait for the next question. Lovely. So, as the VP of Vitality, and of course, one of Theodore Vitali's children, you're in the running as the next CEO. If you're selected, what can we expect for the future of Vitali? Under me, Vitality will innovate and grow, finally realize its potential. This one's a really tough one. But I'm gonna go with innovate and grow. Technology is fundamental about keeping up with the needs of the world. Vitality would put out tech for modern consumer. Fascinating. Could we get a sneak peek into what tech like that might entail? Imagine AI fashion for everyday use. Ever had an email you'd rather not write? With the next generation of Vitality smartphones, you won't have to. So basically, it does it for you. That's so innovative. No, it doesn't. It's not. Your father at least lets you finish your answer before he snores. Big dreams mean big budgets. That's one thing the young haven't learned yet, but they will. You grit your teeth, fighting the urge to turn and throttle him. My dad always such a jokester. That's why we love him. Amy looks at your father, but he doesn't crack a smile. Mr. Vitali, jokes aside, wouldn't all your candidates for the next CEO be young? Aren't fresh ideas kind of the point? Sure, they'd be young. Gonna last as long as I have, if they can. But at least some of them, like my son Dante Vitali, have some respect for tradition. He killed your former lover. Shut up. Dante, respect, but what does tradition mean to you as the current CEO? I'll tell you what it means. It means knowing what works and what doesn't. It means accepting how little you know and upholding the legacy your betters before you. It does not mean aiming to undercut things the moment you sit in the CEO's office. Well, Dad. It would be an honor? No. Undercutting is what tech is all about. Your father turns a novel shade of red, but seems momentarily speechless. You grasp the moment firmly, giving Amy a look of determined confidence. Vitality grew to succeed because it's brought its users into the 21st century. If we want to thrive, we must stay true to the original vision. What a bold viewpoint. Would make for a lovely quote on the cover. And what would this mean for your users? Our users can expect Vitality never to grow stale, as so many others have, and that under my leadership will never be afraid to evolve. You throw your father a quick grin, and he doesn't quite return, but he sits back in his chair with a grimace, like he has no more to say. Right, well that wraps up our interview. Thank you so much. Expect to feature in the next issue. Keep in touch, darlings. And just like that, she signals the crew, and they wrap up in a flurry and march out, leaving you alone with your father in suffocating tension thick enough to choke on. You're disgustingly petty, you know that? What was this, some pathetic payback for ruining your toddler's birthday party? I'm hardly the pathetic one, Cameron. Want me to get you a makeup wipe so you can look in the mirror and see for yourself? I don't know what you're thinking, trying to make me look bad, but you're only hurting yourself at this point. It's about time you face the facts. When the gala rolls around, you won't have a choice but to name me the new CEO. And you need me looking as good as possible. Yes, that's what you think. The hell does that mean? Who else have you got? You... But George rushes into the room just then, cutting you off. Sorry to interrupt. Oh, we've gotta go, Cameron. Oh, you're needed at another engagement. Remember, Sabrina, you didn't know what to expect when George hustled you out of your apartment, but the private airport is welcome, if confusing, change of scenery. Surprise, Nus Vitale. His eyes widen as he takes in your outfit. Already dressing the part, I see. It suits you. As you knew it would. He's surrounded by a smattering of faces you vaguely recognize as notable heirs of the family's giant businesses. You know Antonio Salvatore, of course. Of course. I'm terribly flattered. Last we all met, I distinctly remember your sister Sabrina telling me I had a forgettable face. She gives you a dry smile, straightening her glasses. From behind her, a 6-foot-something blonde boy comes barreling forward. Hey, Cameron, remember me from Dante's last birthday? Ah, you were the one who tipped over the champagne glass tower, right? Ah, they should really tell you that ones in the middle aren't supposed to be picked. Plus, Ellen dared me. That is not my name anymore, Patrick. I told you I go by Viper now. Cool to meet you again now that you're officially one of us. Not that I participate in all that classist crap. Now let's get wasted. Wasted? What exactly are we here for? Just a little something George and I cooked up. A global birthday party to celebrate your new name. My birthday isn't for months. Yes, but Cameron Vitale just came into the world. She never got to experience the crazy milestone birthdays that every other famous kid did. After all, what is a 16th birthday without an over-the-top car you're going to drive too fast and totally near instantly? Or a 21st birthday without traveling to an expensive locale and decimating the local infrastructure with your drunken shenanigans? Yeah, but those days are long past. I'm an adult now. I kinda miss the boat on those kinds of parties. Says who? I don't recall there being an age limit on any of that. And you happen to have a few people here who are more than happy to recreate those celebrations. You just gotta get on the plane. They all turn to you, mischief brimming in their eyes, and you have no choice but to give in with a sheepish smile. Hours later, you arrive at your first stop, a racetrack in Morocco. The sun gleams off the polished tarmac. With flourish, Trey leads the group forward and whips the cover off a high-speed race car. I came here to celebrate for my 16th birthday, loved it. So for the first leg of the global birthday party, I planned a little drag racing. Oh, why don't we make it a challenge? 1 lap around the track, loser buys drinks. I need a bit more motivation to risk life and limb. How about loser coughs up some secrets? Something exclusive. I can hardly turn down an offer like that. Cheering, the hares start to hop into the cars on the track. You follow suit, sliding into the race car, tray unveiled, and notice there's an extra seat. It's Trey treating me. Granted, Trey gesturing at the seat beside you. You gonna let me embarrass myself all on my own? Maybe not if you ask nicely. You're the worst. Okay, pretty please. With a laugh, he jumps in beside you, your thighs brushing as he clicks on his seatbelt. Viper calls out from the car she's chosen, a purple model with a bright pink flame. Alright, I've set the starting pistol to go off in 20 seconds. It's not a real pistol, duh. But when you hear the noise, it's go time. Any false starts and you're disqualified. I'm talking to you, Patrick. But I want to win. Before any of you coach Patrick on the finer points of sportsmanship, you hear the pistol firing, and the race begins. All at once the cars take off together down the tracks, gaining speed so fast you're breathless. Speed up and overtake them, slow down for an opening. Slow down for an opening. You pull back, letting them race furiously ahead, knowing that timing will be critical. Wait for it. The others begin to slow down, having exhausted their bursts of speed, and there, between Viper and Patrick, you spy an opening. You slam your foot on the gas and weave your way between them, gaining a significant lead. Looks like I'm a natural. You hear the laughter and yells from your fellow racers over the squeals of tires. This is somehow even better than it was at 16. Guys, how do I turn on the headlights? It's a race car, Patrick. It doesn't have any. Besides, the track is lit. Yeah, but Viper keeps blocking my view. Viper sees her opportunity, shoving past a discombobulated Patrick and shooting ahead. You grip the steering wheel. Watch it. Sharp left turn incoming. But your earlier breathlessness is leaving you. With every confidence, you take the turn at top speed and yell back. Left. You both lean together, but instead of balancing out, you only add to the car tilting dangerously off balance. Oh god, wrong way. You correct your mistake just in time to stop yourselves from hitting the side of the track, but you've lost valuable speed. You emerge panting from the turn, catching up with the Viper. Just a few paces away is the finish line. On your left. Hey, I don't remember agreeing to let you win. Careful, Cameron. I know Viper. She does not like to lose, and she doesn't exactly fight fair. In another heartbeat, Trey is proven right. With a nasty swerve, Viper smashes her car against the side of yours hard. Your car skids on the tarmac, momentarily losing control. Hey, what the hell was that? Oh, sorry. Did no one teach you the rules? Let me give you a hint. There aren't any. She drifts away, but you see her grip her steering wheel, and you know she's about to swerve into you again. Swerve back into her. In a fury, you wrench her steering wheel to the right, smashing against her just as she comes for you. But a taste of your own medicine. Your cars crash against each other, veering this way and that as they fight for control, and losing precious speed in the process. Too quickly, the others have caught up, and just before the finish line, you're overtaken. Antonia zooms past you both, securing the lead. You screech to a halt behind her, groaning in defeat. And that's what I'm talking about. Antonia struts out of her car, crowing over the rest of you. If I had just found the headlight button, I would have had that in the bag. One by one, you see the hares line up to give her their dirt, and you move to join them. It's sweated. It's probably not very interesting anyway. After the winnings have been satisfactorily delivered to Antonia, you gave her a tidbit about Nante's hair extensions post the live demo incident. You address the group. Thank you all. Lovely birthday so far. Now what's next? Well, let's find out, shall we? Oh, and by the way, I've got some other friends meeting us there. When you arrive at the gorgeous French mountain range, you arrive with significantly more people than you remember drag racing with. A bushel of chattering girls, a few athlete-looking men, and one aloof fashionata carrying a poodle. Are these all your friends? Oh, you know how it is. People just show up. Anyway, that's what, that means there's more of an audience for all the fun on the slopes. How about horse? Ski version. We each perform a trick, and if you try and fail to replicate it, you take a shot. Oh, that's hardly fair, Antonia. You've been skiing since you could walk, pretty much. Even since before you could walk. Well, seems like the point is more drinking than skiing. Now you're getting it. The game begins. Antonia takes off with a simple first trick, a small jump with a spin. Viper follows her up at the peak of her jump. She throws in a little hair flip as everyone applauds. She gestures to you. Oh, fine. You follow up Antonia's trick, timing the spin perfectly, but at its peak, you try to throw up your hands and lose your balance. Your skis crumble under you, sending you straight into the snow. Oof, looked like it hurt. I mean, I wouldn't know, of course, seeing as my skiing is flawless, but it looked... Alright, Antonia, we get it. You pull yourself up and dust the snow off your arms. As everyone whoops and claps, you resignedly take a shot. You know, the more they drink, the more competitive this is going to get. We should take advantage. You return his mischievous smile with one of your own. Antonio takes to the slopes again, this time performing a riskier trick. She flies down the slope backwards, hands in the air. As everyone claps, you look around at your fellow competitors. I should egg on Viper. You head over to Viper and take a deep sigh. It's like she's just trying to rub in how much better she is than the rest of us. Piper's eyes narrow in a deadly squint. She lets out a small huff and you push her advantage. My risky ski tricks make her superior. You've got plenty of talent. You'll never beat her at this, granted, but... She doesn't wait for the rest of your sentence. She marches over the slopes, throws herself downhill, trying the trick herself. In your face, Antonia! But her victory doesn't last long, and into the heartbeat she's fallen head over heels, landing face first in the snow. Everyone laughs, Antonia the loudest, as she emerges, flushed and furious, and takes another shot. Alright, I think it's time for the birthday Vitaly to show us something to replicate. What? I'm no professional. You'd be able to replicate anything I'd... Oh, come on, we're all here for you after all. The entourage lets out a cheer. You turn to them. There are at least 4 new random men you don't remember joining you, and one of them is naked. Okay. Well, you guys are certainly delivering on the wild child party. You're very welcome. Now you deliver on a ski trip. So, naked guy, snow, freezing temperatures. Let's think about this one for a minute. You step up to the slopes, nervous despite the loud verbal encouragement. What could you do skiing downhill that Antonia wouldn't be able to replicate? By the way, Antonia has a bad elbow. Can't extend her arm all the way. She heard it years ago, but won't tell anyone how. She gives you a significant wink before drawing back to join the rest of the crowd. Grab my skis midair. Ski over a giant bump. That doesn't help. We'll do grab my skis midair. You ski confidently down the slope before leaping into the air. We've got airtime. At the peak of your jump, you reach and grab for the edge of your skis, posing with flair and letting go, landing hard but safely into the snow. You return to the group and bow to the cheers. Antonia trudges reluctantly up to the top of the slope to replicate the trick. I'm not so sure about this. She takes the same course you did, soaring expertly into the sky, but instead of posing, she makes a mad grab for her ski's edge, missing entirely and losing her balance before toppling into the snow. Home run. Antonia returns, blushing bright red, to the group. They holler and tease, ruffling her hair, and she has no choice but to take a shot as everyone cheers her on. Well, I don't know. I don't think anyone else will be able to pull that off. Shall we do another round of shots to close it off? You all knock your glasses back one last time, and you glance around. Everyone's laughing, red-cheeked, but not really wasted. Hey, Antonio, how is it that your injuring your elbow didn't deflate your head at all? Ha, that's because this injury was one for the ages, but I'm not nearly drunk enough to tell you how I got it. That's easily rectifiable. Does this mean we're heading to the next stop? What's next? Skydiving? Bungee jumping? Surfing a tidal wave? I guess we'll all just have to get on the plane and find out, if we all fit. You glance around, the entourage has grown larger and larger. Patrick has waved down a group full of guys in football tees. He's by a couple wearing Princeton hoodies, who you suspect must be Antonia's friends, and a few women in sparkly onesies, who no one seems to know, wave to you from the back of the group. This is a lot more people than I thought. At least the naked guy found some pants. You bite your lip, unsure you should continue, but for the first time in a long time as you can remember, all eyes are on you and filled with excitement. Let's do this. The loudest cheer yet erupts from the group as you start to make your way onto a new flight. Several hours in, windows are darkened, the lights have dimmed, everyone is asleep. The plane is silent except for the occasional snore, but each time your eyes begin to close, another bout of turbulence rocks you back awake. You sigh, leaning back in your seat, only to notice that you were wrong. You're not, in fact, the only one awake. You can hear Trey's voice coming from somewhere behind you, and at the front of the plane, George hunches forward in his seat, going over a couple of documents. Okay, I was fair to Trey, now I'll be fair to George. You head towards George at the front of the plane. He doesn't notice you, he's so focused on the papers in front of him. Are you going over Vitality's quarterly reports? Oh, hey, Cameron. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Yeah, I am. You feel a twinge of guilt. That's your job, not his. I'm sorry. You've already planned this entire party, and I've been so busy having fun. I let this fall onto your plate too. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Please don't be sorry. I really don't mind, after all, when you're named as your father's successor. He cuts himself off abruptly, bashfully averting his gaze. Oh, come now. Don't go shy on me now. What were you gonna say? I'm just thinking. I mean, you won't be able to do your current job anymore when you're CEO. I was kind of hoping you might train me to take your position as VP. You open your mouth to reply, but George beats you to it. Of course, if that's too much too soon, I'd be happy to be a regional manager first, or even just a brand manager so I can understand. All right, hold on there a second, George. You just undercut yourself thrice over before even letting me speak. If you see something you want, go for it, boldly, confidently. It's not a matter of if you'll get promoted. Once I take the spot, it's when. You mean a lot to me. I know I'm not exactly the most expressive, but I hope you know that. You let your gaze soften, drawing out a smile. I do, but don't worry, you're not that good at acting stony-hearted. You roll your eyes, trying to look stern and failing. It's true that there aren't many things I know for sure, but your place being at my side is one of them. His eyes flicker to your lips, a naked, longing look in them that you've never seen before. I couldn't agree more, Cameron. He leans in almost instinctively. Aw, we go kiss? Let's kiss him. You made his lips with your own, bold and fearless. Cameron. The kiss quickly heats into something fierce, passion, as though you've unlocked something dangerous. In moments, his hands are everywhere, your face, neck, waist. Easy, gorgeous. Savor it. You guys touch, hands over his, showing him the slow, burning pace that gets you heated. He pulls you close, you fall into the seat beside him. You're able to lean in again when you hear an errant snore. We might wake someone up. You're right. I'll do my best not to make you scream. Cameron. You swallow his moan with your kiss, your hand wrapping around his throat gently but firmly. He melts against you like butter, making no secret of his desire. When you finally part, you're both breathless. Putting my ability to be quiet to quite the test there, boss. And you passed with flying colors, as you always do. But these are just high school kisses. You haven't seen anything yet. You must have had one hell of a time in high school then. Jealous? More curious than jealous. Seems like you learned a lot. He waggles his eyebrows at you playfully. Think you can keep up? I'm always up for a challenge, especially if you're the prize. You lean in, too impatient for foreplay. Guide his lips to my neck. You pull him in, gently tilting his face, even though you're expecting the feeling. You let out a soft gasp as his lips touch your neck. That good, huh? You're just lucky you had a good teacher. He lets out a soft laugh and nibbles softly at your skin. You bite your lip to keep from letting him know just how good that feels. Neither one of you is willing to slow down. You can feel the heat spreading through you and igniting you. Somehow, pleasure and hunger all at once. I need... What do you need? Tell me. You let your fingers tangle in his hair, and he lets out a sharp inhale. I need you closer, but the further we go, the less I feel like I'm going to be able to stop. I don't want you to stop. You push off your seat, slide into his lap, straddling him with your arms around his neck. How's that? Perfect. He kisses you passionately, his lips soft yet demanding against yours. You pull back just a hair's breadth and lean in until your breath is dancing over the shell of his ear. Praise him. That's it, good boy. George lets out a small, strangled moan. Careful, don't let it go to your head. I'm not done with you yet. He opens his mouth to reply, but you get there first, kissing him so deeply you feel intoxicated by his honeyed taste. The plane suddenly gives a sudden jerk. You feel the igniting motion of your body pressed against his, although you pass off the small cry as a response to the turbulence. The last vestiges of your control are slipping away. For a few moments, the world recedes. All that's left is him, his hands under your shirt, the sounds of his pleasure, the taste of his bold tongue, and when you part for a breath, you rest your forehead against his. You are a wonderful assistant. A wonderful kisser, you mean? I mean both. If you weren't a wonderful assistant, you wouldn't be dedicated enough to stay awake doing my job. And if you hadn't stayed up, I wouldn't have come over to check on you. And if I hadn't come over... You press a kiss to his freckled collarbone, loving the way he moves toward your lips like he can never get enough. I'd never found out that you're a wonderful kisser, but I did, thanks to you, so I say we take advantage of it. Yeah, is that an order from the boss? George, it is so much more than that. You're more than that. If I'm being honest, you've been more than that to me since the moment we met. You grasp his hands in yours and guide it to your chest, just over your heart. You feel how fast it's beating? That's all for you. No one's ever made me act like this before. So make no mistake, you're just as much in charge here as I am. His eyes flicker with emotion. He opens his mouth to reply, but can't seem to find the words worthy enough. Finally, he simply leans forward and presses his lips to yours with a heart-wrenching tenderness. But just as you feel yourself getting lost in him again, the plane rattles nastily, nearly sending you flying out of your seat. Whoa. George grips you to him as the seatbelt sign turns on with a ding, but around you hear your companions shifting and muttering in the seats, woken by the turbulence. Unwillingly, you extract from each other, untangling your limbs with some difficulty in the dim light. Finally, you stand smoothing down your clothing. If I wasn't such a proponent of safety first, I wouldn't let you go back. If I wasn't worried about doing a somersault into another passenger, I wouldn't go back. He laughs, and you give him one final peck on the cheek before turning and heading carefully back the way you came. Occasionally the plane lurches and you wobble, but you never lose your balance. You make it back to your seat, but still you can hear Trey's voice from somewhere behind you. He's still awake. You start towards the back of the plane, following the sound of his voice. You find Trey in a tiny, empty cabin. In an empty crew member cabin, speaking softly and rapidly into his phone. But he notices you. He quickly hangs up. For a moment you stare at each other, before you move towards him with a smile, leaving the door ajar to let in some light behind you. Thank you for everything. I can't believe you did all this for me. Well, George did most of the heavy lifting. Besides, I figured I kind of owed you for ghosting you all those years ago. Oh, yeah, you did. Owed me, big time. But don't worry, this more than makes up. As he smiles at you, you reach across him and swipe a few mini bottles of wine from an unattended flight attendant tray. I don't think they'll miss these. Shall we raise a toast? To Cameron Vitale? To fresh starts. As you sip, Trey gives a deep sigh, and when he looks at you, there's a depth of emotion in his gaze. I think about my fresh start a lot, you know? You ever wonder what our lives would have looked like if I hadn't left you and behind when I dropped out? We could have done anything together. You hold his gaze, your own eyes wide. I mean, I knew that college and vitality were clearly not for me, but you felt the only thing that made sense. And if I'm being honest, I've missed you. I do sometimes wonder if we could have started our business, made a real go for it. Not that I'm saying we definitely would have, but we'd have had a chance. Yeah, well, I think we definitely would have. You gave him a tender smile. So, who knows how many anniversaries we would have celebrated by now? But suddenly the pain of what could have been is too much, and you try to change track. We could have run away to the countryside, started a sheep farm. Why stop there? We could have sailed to the end of the world and hunted for buried treasure. One piece! I had to. You share a laugh. The door of the cabin starts to ease shut behind you, and as the cabin grows darker, Trey's eyes glint through the dim light. I feel like we'd always have been in each other's lives in some way or another, whether that was business or pleasure. You look over to find his gaze locked on your lips, and abruptly the plane gives a rough jerk, sending you tumbling into his arms. I won't lie. I know that some of you ladies are into Trey, but if it was up to me, I'd go with George. But I'll do both, just for you. He catches you firmly, and you tilt your chin up to look into his eyes. Without another thought, you close your distance and press your lips to his. It's like the kiss has lit you both on fire. Instantly, he grips you closer, responding with such passion that you gasp against his mouth. But you're not one to be outmaneuvered. Matching his intensity, you tilt your neck and deepen the kiss. Your lips push back against his, hungry, insistent, tongues fighting for control around you. You hear the clatter of a dropped coffee mug, the rustle of pretzels packets hitting the ground. You're too deep to care. He pulls back just long enough to whisper against your lips. Still as stubborn as ever, I say. Always. But as much conversation as either of you can tolerate at the moment, he kisses you again, abandoning any inhibitions, ignoring the rattle of the shelves around you. I'll let him take control. You give in. How long have you ever been able to keep him at bay anyway? Breathless, flushed, you feel his arms wrap around you, and he presses you against the wall in the tiny cabin. My, someone's being obedient. Don't let it go to your head. Too late. You cry, coyly turning your head away, but he tilts your chin back towards him. Has anyone ever told you that you're quite the flirt? Oh, please me. Why'd you come back here looking for me, Cameron? Thought we'd have a wholesome conversation in a tiny, dark room. I wasn't. I did. You've always been a terrible actor, you know that? You giggle and tuck in closer to him. Can't have been that bad. Convinced you I was done kissing you for all these years, didn't I? You try to peck his lips gently, leave him wanting more, but the pull is too strong. Even the kiss quickly flares with passion, and you only pull away when you feel you might faint. Honestly, I thought we'd never be back here again. When you left, I was so angry it felt like everything we had was burned to the ground. It's not true. We still had our friendship. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, walking away from you. And yet you did it. I believe you, but for us to find our way back into each other's arms, that was something I didn't dare to hope for. I did. I dared to hope for it. Quite a lot, actually, if that's any consolation. He rests his forehead against yours. I'm sorry, I always knew you were angry. I was, but only because of how much it hurt. But it's in the past now, Trey. The present is just this moment, that's all. Teasingly, he lowers his lips to your ear. When he whispers, his breath is warm against you. My, I'm forgiven that quickly. I didn't say you were forgiven. You tilt your head quickly, suddenly capturing his lips with yours. I should make him feel my affection, my anger. Guy walks away from you, leaving you high and dry, comes back into your life. No, there's still gonna be a little bit of anger left. You kiss him with a desperate longing, none too gently. Cameron. But he doesn't get a chance to finish. You bite down on his lip roughly, eliciting a sharp groan as he takes in the heat of your intensity. Without waiting for him to recover, you press your hips to his. You pull back abruptly, teasingly. Did that make it clear enough? You've always touted actions over words, after all. I can't tell if this is heaven or hell. It's Earth. It's a bit of both. You think hell has amenities this good? Fair point, I'll go with heaven. Even Eden had a forbidden apple, after all. Wasn't picking the apple a punishable sin? He lowers his head, pressing his lips to your neck. Worth it. You feel his tongue against your skin and gasp. Losing all control, you wrap your arms around him. A life vest behind him goes off, inflating wide, but before you can let out a laugh, you realize how close it's pushed you together. You can feel every inch of him. While he's busy leaving the mark of his lips against every inch of your neck, you let your fingers explore, moving from his shoulders through his hair. It's wonderfully soft, just the way you like it, and you love the way it looks You're amused by your touch. You give it a little tug, and he gasps against your skin, biting down ever so gently. But as the fire in your chest blooms and spreads, the plane gives a nasty jerk. You both stumble, smacking against the walls, nearly popping the life vest entirely. Trey straightens, holding you with one arm, keeping his balance with the other. You hear the ding of the seatbelt sign turning on. As much as it pains me to say this, it might be time to head back to your seat. Carefully. You give him one final peck before exiting the cabin and walking slowly back the way you came, occasionally wobbling as the plane lurches turbulently. You slip back into your seat and recline it, settling in for the red-eyed journey to your next surprise. But you've barely boarded your yacht to Italy when things start to get out of hand. Who are all these people? A swath of partygoers rush down the gangplank like a drunken rainbow, hooting, cheering. Someone throws a bra overboard. It's always naked people. There's a naked guy, now we got a naked girl. Well, one of them's familiar. The ex-executive comes marching down to the yacht, pinning you with a death glare as he makes his way towards you. What do you think you're doing? First you promise to take care of me, then you throw me under the bus like a goddamn roadkill. And now you're ditching work on the heels of a crisis to day drink on a boat in Europe? Already the luxury of your accommodation has drawn a crowd, but add to that his tantrum, you're rapidly garnering attention and not the good kind. Stay calm, look calm, no one needs to know you're freaking out. Scream, spit, or speak, really. You take a breath, trying to let your words come out calmly. This is hardly the time or place to have a discussion like this. You're right, the right place would be the office, which is where you should be. Aren't you fired? Be careful, sir. I don't take kindly to irrelevant people trying to tell me what I can and can't do in my own life. How dare you treat me like this? You'd call me irrelevant? Me? I have friends in high places that you can't even fathom. Clearly not high enough to keep you as an executive. I tried to save your ass when you jeopardized everything Vitality worked for. You should be grateful. The executive just laughs in your face and points over your shoulder to where your fellow hares stand in the crowd. I should have known they'd be here, typical Nepo baby, thinking everyone should kiss your feet for being born. None of you are worth a damn. You should speak with respect. Oh, why is that? Each of us Nepo babies has more influence in our little finger than you do in your entire body, so I'd watch your tone. The crowd laughs appreciatively before jeering and booing at the executive, some even sticking their tongues out. He trains his eyes on you, bloated with anger, but holds his tongue. Trey steps forward, placing a hand on your shoulder and trying to defuse the situation. Look, we don't want to cause a scene, so let's just... What the hell does this have to do with you? You think I'm listening to the rat that left the sinking ship? He shoves his shoulder, pushing him back. What the hell? Trey, are you okay? Yeah, fine. You feel the blood pounding in your ears. You keep your hands to yourself. Or you'll answer to the cops. Empty threats. Try me. I think the authorities would be very interested in learning that a tourist on a visa just committed aggravated assault in front of 100 witnesses. The executive's eyes dart around, and you see the sweat form on his brow. There's no need for all that, I get the message. But I hope you rot in hell. Save me a spot, you'll be there first. The heat of your fury rushes through your chest, but as you exhale, you feel it quell. You fix a perfectly polite smile on your face. I think we've heard enough from you. Well, I'm not done. No? Well, I'm done listening. Get off my boat. You can find your own way back. But you can't. I've got the authorities on speed dial. Shall we give them the lead you out in handcuffs instead? The executive gives you a final nasty look and storms off the boat, to loud cheers and claps from the surrounding crowd. The crowd begins to disperse, searching for drinks. Now the entertainment has concluded, but Antonia doesn't turn away. She's still assessing the scene, a small smile on her lips. You make your way to her nervously. You're taking notes or something? Well, that was one hell of a show you put on. As it so happens, a part of the press pool. Thought I'd do a little write-up on the incident. What? You can't. I can't let that happen, Antonia. If this got out... I'm deeply sorry for the inconvenience, but you certainly cannot stop me. You feel your anger rising you again, but this time it brings an idea with it. You think of all the unsavory things the group has gotten up to. If you want to put a stop to the article, you know for a fact that you can. Really?
We just deport her instead.
Just shut up. I just had to do it. You lean in, your eyes on her, and lower your voice to a snarl. You want to play dirty? Fine, let's play dirty. I've seen and heard for the last several hours are stories about your misdeeds. You think the press wouldn't find any of those particularly juicy? Oh, please, you didn't hear anything worth mentioning. All you have is that I partied with some friends. Big deal. You forgetting the Moroccan casino? The one where you hired a bunch of women and vanished into a room with them? Came out a couple $10,000 poorer? That never happened. Well, it doesn't matter. Sometimes a rumor is all it takes to ruin someone who's already got a reputation. Antonia glares at you angrily, but it seems she can find no reply. Finally, she simply nods at you and holds out a hand for you to shake. Glad we came to an accord. Smarting, she walks away without a word. Oh boy, she's on the... she's on the press thingy. With our company. I thought she was one of the Nepo babies and, rich person, but apparently she's one on the board. BFD. Drawing in a deep breath, you head over to rejoin the rest of the group. We're heading back to Vitality. Hours later, you return to the Vitality offices just in time for a board meeting, hoping the party doesn't show on your face. Good of you to join us. You ignore him. No chance you're letting him mess this up for you. You're ready to take your rightful place as one of the Theodore Vital's recognized children. You raise your voice to address the board members, many of whom are still muttering amongst themselves. Right, everyone. Let's come to order. Not everyone. Everyone isn't present. What? Who could we possibly waiting for? Boardroom door bursts open and Dante comes striding in. Your head spins with horror. You realize nothing has changed. He's retained his place on the board and his voting power. Again. Go away. Alright. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Please remember that if you did enjoy, to like, share, and subscribe. Aside from that, leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Nothing really new, right? It's just... all of this is wild. All of this is wild. A person who literally and figuratively killed your mother is still welcome on the board, welcome in your father's company, welcome period, instead of being in cuffs. It's just... it's wild. That's all I gotta say. I got too much work to do, so peace out.